It's front page news. Tony Abbott telling his party room the budget will be back in balance within 5 years. Yet he's also saying this year's budget will be dull and routine when it comes to savings.
This will be a prudent, frugal, responsible budget. There'll be things in it that people don't like, but there'll be things in it that people do like. And I obviously want to particularly flag the childcare improvements that are coming up and the tax cut for small business that's coming up.
Can you reconcile those two things, having a budget without many cuts in it and yet getting back to surplus?
Yeah, it's a bit of a juggling act, isn't it? As Tony Abbott said this morning, that a budget that will surprise no one and in fact be dull, but on the other hand you have a time frame that would necessarily mean some deep cuts to get back to a balanced budget. So it's quite hard to work out at this point what which one of those will sort of be more important over the cycle.
Well, the sooner the budget's back in surplus, the better. The sooner the budget's back in balance, we stop borrowing money, and as soon as the budget's back in surplus, we can start paying back Labor's debt. Now, I'm not privy to the Treasury forecast that the Prime Minister and the Treasurer and the Finance Minister can see, but...
Well, I think we are. I mean, the budget papers go out 4 years.
They do go out.
The intergenerational report has set out the next 40 years, so I think we've got a pretty clear framework.
I think it is possible, but I think it reflects the desire of this government and the desire of the Prime Minister to get the budget back into balance and surplus so we can pay back Labor's debt as soon as possible.
Now, the Prime Minister says the budget can be back in surplus in 5 years. Do you believe him?
I don't know if his own party room will believe him, and I think Joe Hockey is probably quite concerned by this commitment that the Prime Minister's made. Chris, on one hand, this government has actually increased the deficit since it came into government, despite all its rhetoric about tackling debt and deficit. We also have commodity prices coming off, and this is despite the government continually saying what we have in Australia is not a revenue problem but a spending problem. And then when we get down to spending, we see that announcement that this budget is going to contain a lot of different packages, everything from families to small business. One wonders how these are going to be funded.
Why even mention a 5-year timescale, given that the trouble that Labor got into, Wayne Swan and Chris Bowen promising surpluses and they're not being able to deliver? Why would the Prime Minister even go there?
I don't know. I think they obviously want to keep to the line. The coalition, its strong point is economic matters, and they want to stick to the time frame that they've said that they can bring the budget back to surplus. But speaking to John Daly yesterday of the Grattan Institute, he made the point that none of the forecasts of Treasury over the last 7 years have been anywhere near on the mark, and the 5-year time frame is very tight. You would only bring it back into budget if all the savings measures were actually passed.
This is a government which has very substantially addressed the budgetary situation that we inherited. And yes, you can look at this and say that the glass is half empty, but you won't mind if I look at you and say that the glass is half full.
Yeah, the serious work appears to have been put on the back burner from what Tony Abbott said this morning about shocking no one this time round. But then when do you do it? You're up against a time frame of 5 years, and there doesn't seem to be a natural way of having the budget that actually cuts to bring that balanced budget back in.
Of course, 5 years is a long time. It could be 2 elections away. It's an open question which party will be in government and who will be Prime Minister by then.